Everyone, first off, can everyone hear me? Just if I see heads nod, great, and thumbs up, thank you. Um, yeah, when we were about to start this meeting, my first thought was those of us in theater and the performing arts, there's that rule of you never want to perform with uh, children, small children, or animals. Well, Zoom is kind of that way where you're not sure what's going to happen when you jump on. So but it's getting better each time I use it, right? We're getting better with this platform. So there's still some folks that are trying to jump on, but we're going to get started so we can try to be as respectful to your time as possible. First thing is, welcome back from break. I hope everyone had a restful break and a safe break. It's good to have everyone back and getting ready to go for this next semester. I just wanted to remind everyone this is being recorded. So just to be mindful of that and aware of that. And also that way folks who can't make this meeting will have access to it. So there's a few things I wanted to say before we get started. I wanted to do a few acknowledgements. I wanted to thank AJ for setting this up. And also now we can officially welcome AJ back because he wasn't here for the first all college meeting this fall. So welcome back, AJ. I, for one, am grateful, but I also want to thank the folks that helped kind of get me up to speed, including Diana Gorley, Audrey Trochet, Nick Griffith, and then my associate deans. So thanks to all of you for your patience, and thank you to all the faculty for your patience as I'm getting up to speed as the new dean. So I just wanted to give those acknowledgements. And then I'm going to go ahead and move into just some announcements and some reminders. So where are we at? Mainly, people are probably going to have questions about where are we at with COVID-19. And those of you who are Kevin Hart fans, the vid, as he would call it. So right now, as you know, if you've been watching the news, it's actually worse this semester than it was in the fall when we started. I know some of us, including myself, were hopeful that we would be moving out of this, but the numbers have spiked. So as you know, nothing's going to change. If anything, things might be getting a little bit tighter until we see those numbers drop. People will probably have questions about the vaccine and where do we line up with that. Right now, Associate Dean Glenn Coster is actually going to be attending, well, actually jumping off at 3:30 to attend the Dean's Council meeting. And that's something that the provost, I'm assuming the provost will address, is where are we in line in the priority list in receiving the vaccine. So hopefully that's something we'll find out. And then some of you heard we got the $5 million approval through the state. And we'll find out more information on that, where those dollars are supposed to be directed to go as well. So I'm hoping to find out about that by the end of the week or by sometime next week. Other things, just so you know, down the road, before this semester is over, we'll be creating a college survey. I'll be working with your chairs and the directors of the different programs to create a survey to help give me direction and guidance on the priorities that you as faculty and staff have for our college. We know the university has their priorities, right, with the new strategic plan, but I want to get a sense of where you all are at and where you see our priorities and where our energy needs to go towards. So that'll be coming out before the semester is over. And it's probably going to be, it will be a big part in helping us develop our strategic plan for the next 5 to 10 years. Speaking of which, one plan that I have implemented, and you heard me talk about, I think in our all college meeting, was a new program for recruiting called the Promising Artists Award. We have a name for it now. This is a college event. And the idea of this event is to invite promising juniors and seniors throughout the state of New Mexico, identifying them as artists within all the disciplines, from dance to criticism, art criticism. We're trying to invite any students that are interested in our programs to participate in this. What's going to happen is these students will self-identify themselves to be nominated and recognized as a promising artist within the state of New Mexico and recognized by the University of New Mexico. The plan is to go live next spring, so spring of 2022. But I felt like we needed to do something to engage the students, or potential students who are thinking about where they're going to go to college next year. And I felt like just because we can't meet, we should be doing something as far as recruiting students. The big picture eventually will be the students will be invited to campus with their parents and with the instructor, the high school instructor that has, that will be identifying them in the future. So we're going to invite those people in a virtual event. This is going to be really simple. I had some great conversations with the PA committee, which I will recognize in just a moment. But they pointed out and reminded me, we're all overwhelmed, right? Dealing with virtual courses, watching our kids and trying to teach class, and or even loved ones or parents that we need to look after. So we're trying to keep this version of it, this virtual event that will happen this spring, as simple as possible. So it doesn't put too much of a burden on the high school instructors, on our instructors, on you all. But again, we wanted to do something to roll it out and to have something virtual and to keep our presence out there as a possible place for students to pursue their degree. So the committee is made up of the following people, and I really appreciate their help and their input. But these are the folks, you'll recognize their names for your department, and they'll probably be reaching out to you to use you as a reference, or possibly even as a judge, to help give some feedback to some of these students. So it's Olivia Tucker, GGU, Justin Makemanson, Deandra Grill, George Nicholson, Kate Clark, Regina Chavez Puchetti, Nick Griffith, and Audrey Trochet. So that's our committee members for the PA, the Promising Artists Award. And again, this is something that will hopefully go live, I would think would go live in 2022. And it will be a college event. And we'll roll out the details when it gets closer that time next year. So thank you to all of you for serving. And AJ also has, we'll talk a little bit about, we've already created a call for submissions that will go on our website. Do you want to add anything to that, AJ?
Sure. Hi, this is AJ, and thanks for the welcome back, everyone. Yeah, I'm honored to work with Dean Smith on the Promising Young Artist Award program, and also his re-envisioning of Arts Unexpected that I'll get into. I think it's a dynamic way, as described, to remind New Mexico high schoolers of the university level academic and artistic improvement that's available to them right here in their backyard. We're affordable and top notch. So the call for submissions, thanks to the help of Audrey and Nick, has been kind of branded according to UNM standards. And the rollout will proceed in the next few weeks with a deadline of self-nominations on Friday, March 19th. And that'll give us some time to review those submissions. And our actual event, the timeline that the committee has proposed will be on Friday, April 21st of 2021, obviously. So that will be our virtual event, inviting these self-nominated promising artists to virtually tour and meet with faculty here in our lovely college. And more information to come, but this will go live on our website, and hopefully with everyone's participation and connections to high school communities across the state very shortly.
Great, thank you, AJ. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this before, Arts Unexpected. We're hoping things should be turned around by the fall. So we're going to restart our Arts Unexpected and reimagine it a little bit. We're hoping to be more centrally located for the event, possibly even have a stage for performances in front of the sub. But just trying to attract more folks and do our share of getting folks to recognize and appreciate the values of the arts that we are all aware of. And again, we'll get into more detail this fall about it, but just wanted to put that out there so you're aware of it. Also coming down the pike, we're going to start re-examining and considering, with the help of Kirsten Buick, our associate dean, on doubling down on our training in DEI and bias training and things on that level. And I'm looking forward to working with her and making this a strong part of our culture, trying to create more inclusion. And now the new word is not DEI, now it's DEB, as in belonging. So I was just educated on that a lot of folks are saying there's a difference between being inclusive and belonging, meaning that we can include folks, but we want to make sure they feel like they belong here. They have a stake, that we're investing in those people. So they have a sense of belonging and investment into their future and the institutes. So you'll be hearing more about that as well. Financial updates mainly is just, I want to remind you, right now, we're remote. I appreciate everything that everyone's been doing, putting things on the internet and virtual, but that we just need to continue to stay positive. If there's any opportunities when you're running into donors and meeting with donors, I know some of you have some strong relationships with them, just to continue to make them aware of, especially during this time, how important they are and the impact that they have on our students and our faculty and our research and scholarships and things of that nature. We also want to continue to increase our research and interdisciplinary research as well, which Andrea Poli will be talking about later on. And then you all heard about Netflix. I would challenge all of you to start thinking about how the College of Fine Arts, how we can have an impact in partnerships with the film industry, what that means to our college, what it can mean to the university. I've been meeting with the different deans from business, law, School of Architecture, esports. We get it in the arts. The direct relationship we can have with the film industry and what we have to offer. But start thinking about the partnerships that can be created with other disciplines outside of our college. That's the direction I feel like we're going to be going, and that's going to, I think, strengthen us and strengthen our presence on campus. So I just challenge you to start thinking about that and think outside the box. Don't set up any limitations at this point. I think the longer this is going and we're talking about it, they'll see the impact that the film industry can have on the state of New Mexico. Netflix alone, I'll just throw out the one statistic, Netflix alone, when they moved to Atlanta, went from 300 union below level jobs to 6,000 currently. And they have created about $2 billion of revenue in Atlanta. So imagine what happens when the big five, Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Sony, starts looking in our direction, the impact that it can have on our state and hopefully have on our university and our research, and hopefully partnering with some of those folks. So yeah, think about that and be mindful of what you can do. Also, Santa Fe updates. Right now, we're still in conversation with Midtown up in Santa Fe with different possibilities. I'm not sure if Mary Songus is on because she's on sabbatical, but we're trying to figure out ways to have more of a footprint, especially for our graduate programs up there. So we're still in conversation. So we're in a fortunate place right now that we have the land that's being sold in Mesa del Sol to Netflix, and the conversation for the Midtown for a bigger presence for all the arts up in Midtown, up in Santa Fe. And then most recently, the CAT, or the CFA Interdisciplinary Building. I've been in meetings. We had a larger group, and then we refined that down to the chairs and the Dean's Policy Committee, Grande, and we met and talked about moving forward with the building. As you've all heard, we're one of the top priorities moving forward. If you don't take anything else away from this meeting today, and based on the history of getting a building and not getting a building for the college, this is where we're at. Amy Coburn, who's leader and helps with financial and planning, or with planning, facilities management and planning, is working with us to identify a group to help us with our pitch, with our proposal for this new building. What she has explained to me and what we talked about and what we have discovered is this is probably going to be a two-step process, meaning there's probably going to be two different asks that we're going to have to do from the state if we want to get the building that we desire. If you look back on the Pie East building and what Anderson got, I think the most we've gotten is maybe 35 million. That's nothing for a new building. If we want to go with 35 million and be very disappointed, I don't think any of you would be happy with that. So what Amy and I have agreed upon is that it's probably going to be about double is what we need if we're going to create a building that's going to fit with what we want, what's going to actually help us have an impact and support the needs of our college. So this means that we're probably not going to get a $75 million bond in one ask. So it means we're probably going to have to break it up. So what I'm asking all of you to do is to be aware of that, be patient, don't be discouraged. No, they're not giving us a runaround, but my understanding is this is going to be the best solution to get what we need. There's some things we can't control. Again, like with Anderson, they had a donor who gave them $5 million. We can't control those things, but what we can control is us continuing to educate folks about the arts and the impact that we have as artists on the college and on the culture, and to continue to support, encourage our students and continue to do our research and celebrate that and work, again, try to work as interdisciplinary as possible with our colleagues across campus. Those are the things we can control, and to continue to tell our story about the arts moving forward and keep it in the forefront as far as the university goes. So don't get discouraged if you hear any rumors that it's not going to happen. That's not true. We're actually working very purposefully, I would say, to making sure we assure ourselves of getting the best building possible instead of compromising for something that makes none of us happy with what we get. So it's going to take patience and work. And as I said before, the chairs are working with me. We're actually, this week, Amy is working with a consulting committee outside of, or a consulting firm in Arizona, who's going to help us with our master plan. So we've had money set aside, around $500,000 set aside just for us to focus on our requests and for our master plan, and they're going to work with us. So we're approaching this in the most impactful and effective way possible, I guess I would say. I haven't been watching my clock. I'm doing great. And then one of the important things I want you to be aware of, we have a retirement, and which I'm not sure if was brought up to you yet or not, but Diana Gorley will be leaving us. I'll talk about it later, but we're in the middle of the search there. We found strong candidates. We're waiting to hear from one of them. We've made an offer, but we haven't heard back from them. But the positive thing is we did have 3 strong finalists moving forward to replace Diana, which we will miss her very much, but we'll get to that at the end. Moving on, I wanted to bring up and have Barbara Dameron, the Chief Government Relations Officer, is going to talk to us a little bit, speaking of which, for capital budget projects. Barbara, are you there?
I am here, Dean, and happy to be here.
Hey there.
So thank you very much. I'll keep this brief, so there's lots we could talk about. First of all, my heartfelt thanks to all of you and your wonderful College of Fine Arts. While my whole background has been in healthcare delivery as a cancer scientist, prior to my getting into government relations, music has always been my background, hence that's my grand piano behind me there, and it's my therapy now. So I appreciate all y'all do in your wonderful College of Fine Arts. Dean, I had offered to the previous dean to do a fundraiser at my home for your new building, and that offer still stands. I've got people I think would be interested in giving to it here, and I live in Santa Fe, and I've done lots of musical fundraisers at our home, and so that offer still stands.
I will take you up on it.
Needs to be after this legislative session, because I don't sleep or do anything else during the legislative session. So delighted to be here with y'all. I am a tenured professor over in the School of Medicine and the College of Nursing. Also had executive experience in healthcare delivery, worked a lot in government relations, both in Texas, worked with the Texas legislature here in New Mexico, worked with the Texas legislature in many roles, including being a former cabinet secretary for higher education, and I've worked in the United States Senate. So I come to you with that background and now run all of government relations for the university, for Maine Health Science Center, all of our branch campuses, federal, state, tribal, county, and city government relations. But you asked me today to give you some updates on the state legislative session, which starts on Tuesday. So there's much I could be saying about that, but I will try to keep this brief. I've put a link in the chat box if you want to click on that link. That will take you to the document that I will be talking us through. Then I do want to say a few things about the building, because we've been working along this building. I'll tell you where things went awry prior to now and how we can get them on the right track to get you the building that you need to get you out of the 14 buildings you have. It's roach infested. I know a lot about your buildings. We need to get you into some really outstanding 21st century, 22nd century almost building for this wonderful College of Fine Arts. So my heart is with y'all. My career has been in the place, but my heart is with you in fine arts. So the legislative priorities that we go into the session, these are begun almost a whole year ahead of time. As soon as this session's over, we started the priorities for the following session. And these are different from our federal priorities. I'm also happy to come talk to you another time about our federal priorities process. But for our state legislative priorities, we always have 4 main priorities every single year of the legislative session. One is to keep our instruction in general funding, our ING funding, to increase that when we can, in bad years to stop the hemorrhaging when we can, because we've had some bad hemorrhaging with that. We've already coming out of the gate, both the executive and the legislative branches have put forth their recommendations, which is the starting for them. But we've been working all this past year on this, and we're starting at a very positive place, UNM is, compared to where we could have been starting, because the work we've been doing behind the scenes for months on end. So the 4 things we always go every session is ING funding, our RPSPs, our research and public service projects, compensation for faculty and staff. We work on that every single session, because we all know our faculty and staff are underpaid compared to peer institutions, and capital outlay. So we always go with those 4 as our top priorities. Then we go nuance those down. So in the brochure that you may be looking at, or you could be reading your emails, whatever you're doing while I'm talking, is fine with me, but you could look at this brochure now or later or never. But the brochure I'm referring to talks about each of these, also gives some points. We typically have an 8-page multi-fold brochure for the legislators, which I've been trying to get them to get rid of for years. It's beautiful, but no legislator is going to look at 8 blank pages. And that just doesn't happen during the session. So I just wanted a nice 2-page PDF, and the legislators are already really liking this that you have on that link for you now. So in addition to those 4 priorities, I want to say a few words about our RPSPs, and then also about capital outlay. So our RPSPs, those research and public service projects, were all kept flat, was the requirement. The executive branch is cutting some of that. The legislative branch is recommending to update this. Again, we're just at the beginning. Legislation is biblical. Each day in a legislative session is like 1,000 years. So we have much more to go through by the time we get to the end of this session. We house several state agencies in UNM, for example, the Office of Medical Investigator, where all the autopsies are done. Whenever the legislators cut our academic programs through our PSPs, they also cut some state agencies like OMI. They also cut the Poison Center. And yet the legislators were complaining because it was taking a long time during this pandemic with so many folks sadly dying from this pandemic. The legislators were complaining how long it was taking to get the autopsies done when they cut us money for the OMI, and many of them didn't put that together, that they didn't realize they were cutting that. Same with the Poison Control Center. We had a lot of people calling the Poison Control Center because people were drinking hand sanitizer. Because as you remember, at the beginning of this pandemic, there were some people who almost recommended that. So the Poison Center also had some increases going on. So we're going back to the legislature, asking them to restore what was cut in the special session this past summer, when we were cut quite a bit, 4% to ING and 6% to RPSPs. Then also the fourth part that we always ask for, and I'm happy to talk about in these more detail, is capital outlay. And you are in there in terms of some facility renewal, a mere $5 million. The reason you're not in there for more than that was because, just as Dean is talking about, we have to be, I've gone through many big projects at UNM getting them funded. The Cancer Center is involved in that in 04, 05, 06 through 09, a $90 million project. We got funding for that. So I know how this works. And it's just like Amy is telling you, many of these are done in phases. You have to be very clear with your phases, with your planning, what needs to be done and how we're going to do that. And frankly, that had not been done adequately, I guess is the best way I can say it, from the College of Fine Arts. It came in bits and pieces. The presentations were not fully formed, and hence some of your projects on that did not go forth. But I think now you all understand that. You have a dean who clearly is understanding that from what I'm hearing here today. So we need to make sure that progress, this particular project going forward, is very clear. What's in phase one, what's in phase two, how much do you need? You're right, it's going to take way more than 35 million. I imagine we're looking at a much, much larger price than that, and reasons why we need it. And how also what donors you're going to have to contribute to it. When I did the Cancer Center, the 90 million, we brought in lots of donors for that. And again, Dean, I'm offering to help you in as much as I can with that. So that also lists our capital outlay and our capital projects that you will find there in that link. So again, much changes during the session. Again, the legislative and executive branches have come out with their recommendations. Some of our requests already have gotten cut. Others have not, but these are just recommendations. The law has not been made yet. That's what we work on day and night. It's going to be a very difficult session since we can't be here live. You know, I live here in Santa Fe, so that helps. But it's going to be difficult because we live in that capital, in that petri dish of a capital. We live in that during the sessions. And it's going to be hard to do all this through text and email and phone because we're up there in the hallways, day and night and weekends. Literally, we're there in the hallways. We have our little places where we catch the legislators and make our pitch to them, occasionally grab one of you to be there with us. And we're not going to be able to do that this year. So it's going to be a very challenging legislative session. I do give, of course, I give daily briefings to the president and others, weekly briefings to the senior leadership team across the university. And we start out with bi-weekly, then move to weekly briefings for anyone at UNM who wants to hear what's happened every week of the legislative session. I will also be sending out weekly updates on what's going on at the session. You can also sign up to be on our listserv. We send out daily updates with a little bit of color in it about what's going on in each of the committee meetings and such. So there's a daily listserv. We're also going to be sending out a daily UNM News Minute to each legislator, just a very quick news minute for them to hear good things about UNM on that. So we try to have constant communications going on with that. So if you are interested in attending in the oral briefings that I will be giving via Zoom, I'll be sending that information to Dean Smith, and then he can disseminate that however y'all want that disseminated on that. I also suggest that you do sign up for the listserv, which if you go again to our GovRel site, you'll find resources there for you in addition to our priorities PDF that I was just talking to you about is again a way to sign up for that daily listserv on that. So our goal again is to keep that ING, the executive branch, to get into a bit more detail in the last couple of minutes I have left, and I'll stand for questions. The executive has cut some of the ING. The executive branch is putting a lot of the higher ed money into opportunity scholarship. And right now that opportunity scholarship mainly goes to help our 2-year universities, not particularly our 4-year universities, where the legislative rec is putting more of that money into the ING money. Another complicating factor is the federal COVID relief bills that have come out. The CARES Act, as you may have heard about, that came out in the spring, which we did lots of work on that. And the new round, which is actually the 4th round of CARES relief money. That federal money that comes to our institutions, number one, certain percentages of that and amounts go straight to students. The other comes to the institutions, and that money is meant to help with the extra cost that COVID has brought upon us, the extra cleaning that we have to do, the testing that we have to do, all those things that COVID has brought upon us. It is not meant to supplant state recurring funds. Yet our state legislators, because our special session was also in the midst of COVID and we could not be there to talk with them, some of the legislative staff had a little bit of misunderstanding about the federal money, and they actually supplanted some of our recurring state funds with the federal non-recurring CARES COVID money. And that's not what it was meant to do. So we're also fighting to get that money back. That was supposed to be a swap, but they were eventually going to replace it. And talk is cheap in politics a lot. You have to make sure it's deeds, not just words. So we have to make sure that that swap gets put back, and there are some who want to do that and some who do not. And of course, we're also right in the midst of about to receive some more money from the federal government on that. Much more I could say, but let me stop here. I want to stay on your time frame and see if, Dean, if there are any questions or comments from anyone. If anyone wants to put it in the chat, I'll look at that as well.
I did not see anything. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Dameron at this point? Or, yeah, there's too many of you to identify, so.
Yeah. If you do, I am available. Please don't hesitate to email me anytime. I'll put my email here in the chat. And thank you for your work, faculty and staff, for your teaching, for your supporting students. And when I get through with all this, I want to come back and pick up some more. I still play my piano and organ every day. So I want to come back and maybe get some lessons from you folks to improve my skills on that. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dameron. We appreciate it. Have a good afternoon. Next up, we have muted. Thank you, Dr. Dameron. Hope you heard me before. So next up, we have Christine Purrington. If you remember, I said development and recruitment is everybody's job. So she's just going to give us a few reminders of what we can do, our part, or doing your share as far as working with potential donors, and give you some direction on that. Are you ready, Christine?
I think so. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Okay. Well, Dr. Dameron, I'll be calling you and hopefully setting up a party at your house in Santa Fe this summer. It sounds like such a good time. It's so nice to see everyone. I'm your Senior Director of Development here at the College of Fine Arts. I'm an employee of the UNM Foundation, but I work on the priorities as set by the Dean here in the college. And it's been as with all of you, it's been a tough time. Very, very difficult to transition from my normal life of meeting with donors and engaging them in your performances and exhibitions to just being on the phone and on Zoom. So it's been a really challenging environment to raise money, but we set my goal this year before COVID, which was $4.5 million. So we're about a third of the way there. And actually, I'm kind of optimistic that we might get there. So we've got some really fun gifts in the works and some amazing, generous people that support what you all do. I want to tell you about one gift in particular that we set up this year is an endowment in the memory of Professor Lydia Madrid that will support printmaking, scholarships in printmaking. And so, you know, it's been an interesting time to work with people doing electronic signatures on gift agreements. It's just not my thing particularly. But the way you can help me is if you have an event coming up that's going to be virtual that I can share with donors, please let me know and give me a couple of weeks notice at least so that I can promote it with donors. If you are engaging with people, let me know. A lot of times, I've been doing this for a long time, and I sometimes can help negotiate gifts in a way that may be helpful. So please consider me your partner. I certainly consider all of you my partner, and really look forward to supporting what you do. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
And I'll throw in my 2 cents. For everyone to be mindful that it really is an excellent opportunity when you're meeting with a donor. Always think about the positives and what you want to sell about. Sometimes it's about your program, and sometimes you don't know what the donor is interested in. But if you have your elevator speech, if there's a certain part of research that you're interested in or passionate about, and speaking of the benefits that to our students and to their research or to scholarship, but always focus on the positives of what the college is achieving. And if you don't know the answer, refer them to Christine, and she'll be able to help you out. We don't want to misstep or accidentally, send a potential donor in the wrong direction or discourage them by our comments. Again, always focusing on the positive and what we are bringing to the table. So I would encourage you to consider that, keep that in mind whenever you're meeting with any of our donors or potential donors. Thank you, Christine. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on, next we have Andrea Poli, who's actually our interim associate dean for research. I said it earlier, she will be replacing Mary Zongas this semester because Mary's on sabbatical. So I will turn it over to Andrea.
Thank you, Harris. So I just want to thank Mary Songus and Elizabeth Faru for getting me up to speed on the research office as much as I'm covering for Mary. And I want to congratulate Elizabeth for a much deserved promotion. She's going to be working with both the CFA and the School of Architecture and Planning research offices. So I want to remind everybody that grants in which UNM is the fiscal sponsor or the grantee that you want to write have to go through a university process that can take several weeks. And Elizabeth and I are here to help you with that. And we're here to help you with research grants available for your projects as well. The RAC is coming up. The deadline is February 15th. The site will open on February 1st. And I wanted to thank Megan Gould, who is actually now the chair of the university-wide RAC committee and has really done a lot. She and Donna Jewell, who is also on that committee representing the CFA, have done a lot to help the RAC committee understand the kind of work that we do and our research. So please, if you're thinking about a RAC, definitely go for it. And Megan has a lot of tips for people. She did a really great workshop recently. In the spring CFA internal research grants for creative and scholarly research and seed funding will open on February 17th, and the deadline will be March 22nd. So look for that. The research committee will review, and the results should post by April 8th. In terms of the online learning and remote learning challenges that we're having, I would like to survey and help faculty with online learning. There's a program with the Center for Teaching and Learning called Remote Learning Fellows, and myself and Jennifer Lau in music are fellows this semester. And I want to thank Jennifer for doing that for music. Although instructors don't have right now individual access to Center for Digital Learning instructional designers unless the class is designated as online Macs, there actually is help for you if you need it. And I can help you get access to an instructional designer through open labs and workshops. And I'm not sure about putting anything in the chat right now.
Yeah, no.
But
No, don't worry about it. Yeah.
if you go to the Center for Digital Learning, you can find the schedule for their workshops. Also, the Center for Academic Program Support also offers remote learning help for students. And they will provide tutors, and they'll even do workshops within your course, even if it's a remote arranged course. And they have workshops in writing and some other things. Finally, there will be a 3-day research symposium this spring, dates to be announced, sponsored by the UNM Interdisciplinary Science Cooperative and Grand Challenges. And I'm working with the architecture ADR, Carolyn Scruggs, to organize 2 arts and community engagement focused events. So one is a series of lightning presentations, and one will be a panel discussion on broader impacts. We would want everyone, Caroline and I want everyone across disciplines to understand how important the arts can be for broader impacts. And that can take as you know, the form of public and community engagement, creative informal learning, storytelling, and many, many, many other ways in which we do that. So look for that and please apply. And I may be pinging some people to make application for that. Our aim is also to highlight everyone's research related to community engagement and broader impacts online in order to have a matchmaking process for collaborations across disciplines. And finally, I just wanted to congratulate Kenzie Cornejo from the art department, who received a prestigious individual NEH award recently. And that is it for research. Thank you so much.
Does anybody wish to share how they felt through that meditation? Hand signals are good too, Jennifer. Thank you. Did anybody fall asleep? No, good. Oh, so did you, Ellie? No, okay. Yeah, this one usually not so much. This is a reflective one that keeps the mind engaged, but it also kind of eases the mind of a lot of burden, one that we carry and we don't even realize it until you focus on what that one thing or 2 things are that truly are heavy on us. So I'm really, really pleased that you could all participate and that you enjoyed, and I'd be happy to come back and do another guided meditation, something a little different in the near future.
And we may take you up on that.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Great.
I'll put the links in the chat for you so you can go see what else we offer.
Awesome.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Tracy.
Take care.
Okay. Good thing I have the outline to keep me on target. So last we have is closing remarks. We have a few folks we need to acknowledge before we jump off. And the first one is we need to have Donna make a few remarks about a retiring legend that unfortunately will be leaving us soon. Are you there, Donna?
Yeah,
There you
I'm
are.
here. Yeah, thanks for the reminder to unmute, and thank you for the opportunity to try to stay calm in these very troubled times that we're facing right now as a nation. So before I talk about our special retirement, there's 3 people I want to welcome to the department. Marisol Encinas is now an assistant professor of dance and particularly flamenco. She has a BA in Spanish and anthropology from our institute. And she also has an MFA in dance from the University of New Mexico. She's a principal dancer with the Yastros Flamenco Company. She's the artistic director of the largest flamenco festival outside of Spain, the Festival Flamenco de Albuquerque. And we're very excited, Marisol, to have you on board. Also in the theater program, we want to welcome Julie Hendren as a visiting lecturer in theater. She's been the director, co-director, curator of Revolutions Festival, executive director of the Tricklock Theater Company. She's a performer, teacher, writer, director, and we just welcome you, Julie. You've been a great asset as an adjunct in our program, and we welcome you as a visiting lecturer in our program. And finally, Navy Encinas, who has a BA in History of Art from Yale and an MFA in dance from our program here at UNM, is also a visiting lecturer in flamenco this semester. We welcome you, Navy, and welcome all the expertise that you bring to the program. So now I have to talk about Eva Encinas Sandoval, who retired in December. 40 years teaching at UNM, spearheaded the creation of a flamenco concentration that is unique, not only to this country, but in the world, as a flamenco concentration in a program in a university setting. Over 30 years as the founder, artistic director, and co-director of the Festival Flamenco de Albuquerque, which is the only festival of flamenco awarded outside of Spain. It's made Albuquerque the hub of flamenco. And almost 30 years as the founder and director and co-director of the National Institute of Flamenco, which is here in Albuquerque, where she teaches. She's a choreographer, she's a master teacher, she's a dancer, she's been a solid colleague. Eva has made Albuquerque the center of flamenco in North America, and she's also the recipient of an amazing award from the King of Spain. And please excuse my Spanish, but the title of this award is the Comendadora de la Orden de Isabela la Católica. And it's awarded to people from around the world who have promoted and celebrated the Spanish culture. We value Eva. We know we'll still be seeing her. She's been an incredible rock and foundation of the dance program and in the Department of Theater and Dance. She puts the University of New Mexico in an international profile, and we thank her for her incredible service for artistry and her master teaching. We're gonna have an amazing online celebration this spring to celebrate Eva. And then we're gonna do something live when we can, but we'll invite all of you to this amazing celebration of Eva and acknowledging her and her retirement this spring. So we'll make sure that's on the college website, the department website. It probably will be in April. So look for that. Thank you, Dean Smith. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Donna. We also have another one who's been very close family member for us, new to me, of course. But yes, we are losing Diana Gorley at the end of this month. So I want to recognize her, thank her again. She was key in getting me, adjusted and acclimated to my new position here. Couldn't have done it without her. I'm sure all of you have a much, longer and stronger history with her, and just appreciate everything that she's done for our college and helping move us forward. Just so you know, we did give her a card with a gift certificate. So in her retirement, she's been taking some art classes. So we got her gift certificate so she can buy some more art supplies to keep herself busy in her retirement. So again, Diana, congratulations to graduating to retirement.
It's going to be a whole new life. I'm reinventing myself again. But without the support of my UNM community, who I will miss desperately, because there's so many wonderful people around the university, and especially in this college that I found they're so talented and generous, which is what always astounded me, the generosity of the knowledge that's being passed on, and passion for creativity. And I'm blessed that I was able to be a part of it. So thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, as they say. Thank you, Diana. And lastly, we have the drawing for the travel or research for the research gift drawing. How many people did we have enter the drawing, AJ? Oh, AJ said about 100. So I'm gonna, just so you can all see, this isn't rigged. Here's the jar. I'm just gonna reach into the jar. I'm not looking. Uh-oh, I can't reach into the jar. I didn't realize my hand won't fit. So I'm gonna dump out, I'm gonna dump out some names. This is my first time doing this, and I'm just gonna grab, the name fell out. And it's really small. David, I'm gonna have to grab my glasses. Oh, that's okay, AJ. This is the part that we obviously didn't pre-plan, but it's making it interesting, isn't it? So it's David Beining, B-E-I-N-I-N-G. Arts Lab and the Arts Lab. So congratulations, David. A few remarks, and I'll take my glasses back off before I jump off. Obviously, what happened is what just took place is sticking to some of you, and it's going to stick to you for a while, and we'll probably get back to the provost. It's interesting because last night I was connecting with some folks at Utah, and this just happened to them, and they did start a task force. I noticed someone asked, is there someone we can report to? And I think someone had commented there is, but in these situations, there's not a lot we can do about it. But what we can do is continue to live our lives and making the positive choices that we are. I was going to say, you know, the good news and bad news. The bad news is there's not much we can do about it. The good news is we aren't them. We aren't the individuals who because of where they're at in their life, made these choices. We know who we are as parents, adults, artists, colleagues. We know the progress we want to make as artists and helping the university. So I would just encourage you all to focus your energies in a positive direction instead of being distracted by other people who, like I said, to be quite frank, don't have a life, and that's their problem, and I feel sad for them. We, however, have a lot to do and a lot to achieve in our lives. Of course, I have to bring it back to athletics one more time in football. So I'm reading this book called It Takes What It Takes. And he's a sports psychologist who works with Russell Wilson, who's the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. And he talks about what's called neutral thinking. So when negative things happen, we have the opportunity either to respond in a negative way and kick ourselves or focus on that, or we have the opportunity to take that energy and focus it on something positive. So this is your opportunity to decide what you want to do. Again, you wouldn't all be here. You're here for a reason. You're all gifted artists, administrators. So I know we'll continue to move forward. If anything, it's strengthened our resolve to address the issues that we feel are current and are important. So I know you all move forward. I also know some of you have probably been through a lot worse, right? And that you'll just take this again as an opportunity to move forward and help the college become even stronger. I wanted to answer a couple of questions before we jump off. Financially, where we're at. Back to reality. If you want to call it negative, financially, yeah, it's a tough year, right? We're taking big hits with our budget. This semester will probably be, I would think this semester, maybe the fall, and actually the fall, we're going to have some financial challenges. It's not like this isn't anything new to the president, to President Stokes or the provost. You know, not to put words in their mouth, if we could get all the money to everyone that we could and to support all the departments, we would do that. But the reality is, again, due to COVID, we had already been facing challenges, but now we're facing even more challenges financially. When I interviewed for this job, I had said we need to start focusing more on private partnerships than relying on the state. And this was before we knew COVID was even going to hit. That's why I keep hitting the point of us thinking outside the box. We had a meeting with all the academic leaders within the university for the economic forum, and the president at Arizona State had some very encouraging words. You should, if you haven't had the chance, Google or look up Arizona State and how successful they've become with the student impact financially as a university. They're doing a lot of positive things. So it's been encouraging to see there's a model out there, and that we could do the same thing. So I continue to say, think outside of the box, and think about how we can partner with other folks in other disciplines and just moving ourselves forward. I'm open to any ideas. So just continue to keep that in mind as well. The Zoom report, well, now that just changed. I had 2 pictures of dogs, and now I see 2 people with, one with a live cat and 2 live cats is what I've seen in the Zoom meeting today. At first, okay, 3 now. 4. And I'm only on the first page. 4. What do we, someone tried to grab their cat, so I'll count that as 5. There it is. 5. And then other folks, we just see their pictures. So I think I got a count of I think 5 cats to 2 dogs. I don't know what that means. Oh, there's our 3rd dog. Okay. So three dogs, and I think David's trying to show us. Okay, 4 dogs. Okay, 4 dogs. I think that's it. We're gonna have to leave it 4 to 5 with cats winning at this time. Not that it's a competition. And someone can't get their dog to wake up, Michelle just said. So we'll say it's 5 and 5. Okay, everyone wins, right? In the new age, everyone wins. But thank you, everyone. Thank you for braving through this and staying focused. We'll continue to move on as a college. Again, I ask for your patience. It's why lie? Why try to color code things? It's going to be a challenge, but you're all here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. We'll get through it this year, and then we'll move on. The great thing is it can only get better as we move forward, especially with the pandemic and then finding a vaccine. And as I said before, I'm going to be jumping off to join the Dean's Council meeting late, and we'll find out where we fall again with it being prioritized with the vaccine. So thank you again, all of you. I appreciate it. And have a good weekend and a good week.